Hi, and welcome to another one of our episodes, Kitty Talk. When we went out today, we actually went to a children's retreat that was in the tri-state area, and it was a lot of fun for the children. So we thought we'd ask them some interesting questions. One of the questions we asked them is whether or not they knew who the first martyr is. Come out and see with us who they thought the first martyr of the church was.
It's like someone that died for Jesus. Like they died with the Romans and stuff like that.
Very good. And do you know who the first martyr was?
I know it was like a guy that was like crucified with Jesus, but I forgot his name.
A martyr is a person that shreds his body for Jesus Christ.
That's good. Do you know who the first martyr was?
Saint Stephen.
Do you know what a martyr is?
No.
A martyr, martyrs are people who died for Jesus Christ because they had no fear and Jesus picked them, and so then he gave them courage.
Do you know what a martyr is?
No.
Do you know what a martyr is?
No.
But what is a martyr?
A person who died for Jesus and wasn't scared to die.
Good. Do you know who the first martyr was?
No.
Do you know what a martyr is?
Someone who died for God?
Do you know who the first martyr was?
No.
A martyr is someone who sacrificed their lives for us.
Good. And do you know who the first martyr was?
Yes, it was Saint Stephen.
A martyr is someone that died for Christ. They didn't die when they were old.
Very good. And do you know who the first martyr was?
No.
Do you know what a martyr is?
Someone who dies for God.
And do you know who the first martyr was?
No.
So what is a martyr?
A person who died for God.
Okay, and do you know who the first martyr was?
Saint Mark.
Do you know what a martyr is? Can you tell us?
Somebody who dies for God.
Very good. And do you know who the first martyr was? Well, what is a martyr?
Someone who died for God.
Good. And do you know who the first martyr was?
Saint Mark.
Those were some pretty great answers. Some of the kids actually thought that the first martyr was Saint Mark, the apostle. But actually, the first martyr in the entire Christian faith is actually believed to be Saint Stephen. Now, Saint Stephen, as you may remember from other episodes when we talked about deacons, was one of the first deacons that was chosen by the apostles to help and to serve the widows and the hungry and the poor and the needy. He was one of the first 7 deacons that were chosen. And St. Stephen was said in the Bible, in the book of Acts, to be a man who was full of faith and the Holy Spirit. Now, St. Stephen was very strong in the faith, and God used him to do many wonderful and great miracles. And the Jews were getting a little bit jealous of him. So one day, when he was in the synagogues and he was talking with them about the faith and defending the faith, the Jews started to get very angry. And when St. Stephen was standing there, he looked up to heaven, and he actually saw a vision. He saw the heavens open, and he saw Jesus Christ in his glory standing next to God, and he was being glorified. And he said that out loud to the Jews. And unfortunately, the Jews got very, very angry at that, and they dragged him out, and they dragged him out to the city, and they stoned him. But before they stoned him, St. Stephen looked up to heaven, and he said, "Father, forgive them, because they do not know what they are doing." Also, people who looked at St. Stephen said that his face was like the face of an angel. St. Stephen was a great blessing to all of us. And to all of you deacons, I hope that you can be great deacons just like St. Stephen. And I hope that each one of us could be as humble and as faithful and as strong in the faith as St. Stephen was when he was martyred. May his prayers be with all of us, and I hope that you learned something new today. Thank you for coming to this episode of Kitty Talk, and we'll see you again in another episode.